community, the Tree of Life,
yes.
And Wendy is, please go ahead. Take over. Yep.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about a huge outreach event that we did on the campus of the College of New Jersey. And I'm speaking on behalf of a number of authors, but I do want to point out that the authors that you see in blue are undergraduate students, and the authors that you see in yellow are actually members of our dining service community. And with us today, Jeff Osbon is in the audience, as well as one of our students, Isabel Distefane. So about 5 years ago, a collaboration was born on the College of New Jersey campus between dining services and the School of Science, and that was to have a science-based meal event. And at the time, the event that was put together was called Compounds in Cuisine. And it was so successful that dining services continued to partner with different schools on our campus to have a themed meal every semester. So this past year, it came back around to the School of Science, and Jeff had the great idea of thinking about the Tree of Life. And so we took advantage of this opportunity to put together a science outreach event to really reach a cross-cutting sample of students across campus. And so we wanted to build upon our past experiences and improve upon them. So our goals were first and foremost to reach a broad audience. So we know a lot of science outreach events can depend on people's interest to come. Because this is a meal in our main dining hall on campus, everybody's got to come to eat. So everybody is going to get exposed to the meal that we put together. We really worked hard to actively engage the participants by putting together messaging that connected to their everyday lives through food. We designed the entire event, and I'll tell you more about this in a minute, using a backwards design perspective. And the whole idea was born out of collaboration with dining services. We wanted to continue to increase the number of collaborations across campus in putting this event together. And then lastly, we always include students in what we were doing, but we really wanted to use this as an opportunity to train students in scientific outreach and engage them really deeply. So we started with goals. And we actually borrowed from the museum community the idea of experiential learning goals rather than just the learning goals that we might use in our classes. So we tried to make these highly active, very engaging, and so they included things like taste biodiversity and connect your favorite cuisine to the lineages of life, or navigate the tree of life and the relationships amongst its branches. And these are not goals that we just held on to ourselves. These are goals that we put on our website, that we put on our promotional materials, and all of the handouts that went with the event itself. And so you can see we tried to use these action words, learn, observe, explore, to get people familiar with messages about macroevolution, about tree thinking, about diversity, and also plants. So we worked with dining services from day one. And what they told us is, look, we have 9 different stations in our dining hall. We can do 9 different meals. 9's a lot, so we grouped this into 3 different groups of 3. And we tried to come up with sort of short, catchy messages to engage people, get them excited and interested. So we have one, discovering the biodiversity on your plate. We have exploring our impact on biodiversity, and then lastly, sampling the flavors of phylofusion, this idea of bringing together distant branches of the tree of life to affect your cuisine, anything from fermentation to pollination. And so within this, each of these dinner plates, if you will, represents a meal, dishing out biodiversity, for the love of bees, recipes worth saving. And so we put all of these together, but we also collaborated with our graphics department and an artist who put together this figure for us. And if you were to go to the website, this is actually on our homepage, and each of these dishes is clickable and goes to both the menu and more information about the messages behind those meals. We also worked with a professional artist to put together this logo, which gave the event an incredible presence and a very eye-catching poster. So I said that we used backwards design, and this really helped us align our goals and our assessments to make sure that we were achieving what we wanted to achieve with this particular event. So let me walk you through just one of the goals that we had and how we worked to design this. So our experiential goal, the first one I mentioned, taste biodiversity and connect your favorite cuisine to the lineages of life. We had an assessment that was given out during the dining hall that had 6 pairs of questions, but the pair of questions that went with this was sort of a pre-post, if you will. I had already thought about my food in terms of biodiversity before the event, and I will now consider biodiversity when making food choices. and we gave them a scale from never to very frequently. So each of these goals connected with different meals. This one happened to connect with dishing out diversity, which was our huge tasting bar. And so to achieve these goals, we have a lot of activities, just like we might put together in the classroom. The first one is the food. So this was the menu that went with this particular meal. We had this at our big round walk station. And so students could come up and have anything from roasted crickets to Roman-style tripe to kombucha, you name it. It was crazy. All sorts of different flavors. Maybe you don't want to have all of those things at the same time, but many students did. Along with this was an informational poster. So we had a poster that went with every single one of our meals that, again, brought out some information as well as tree thinking. Now from the start I thought, great, you can put a poster there, but they're easily ignored. And so one of the most important things that we did was to have field guides. We had nearly 40 biology students who worked as field guides, and they were trained on the different messages, hung out by the posters, and engaged the audience to try to get them to think carefully about the messages that were happening in that meal. During the day, we also had a keynote lecture by a member of our own community, Nairi Zaraga, who works on breadfruit and jackfruit. And so she talked about eating the tree of life, but also brought to light messages about underutilized crops. And then the other activity that we had is the website itself. So this website was available before the event. It still exists now. And our field guides, in addition to talking about the different messages, also had these little business cards that they handed out for students to be able to go to the website and learn more if they wanted to. So I cannot emphasize enough our collaboration with dining services in making this event possible. So in this picture is our head chef, Franchetti, and she put together the menu for this with some of our guidance. So I actually gave her a phylogenetically informed ingredient list, to which I wasn't sure how she was going to react, but she was so excited. She took this and loved the opportunity to bring some new dishes to our dining hall and some new ingredients. She had never worked with breadfruit before, never worked with jackfruit before, but created jackfruit Reubens, breadfruit cakes, and all of these things were absolutely delicious. So her work was just phenomenal in bringing this whole event to life. The other aspect of working with other folks in dining services was transforming our dining hall so that when you walked in, it looked like an entirely different place. They were incredible in using this color scheme of teal. We don't usually have tablecloths, but they had tablecloths out. All of the signage matched the whole color scheme. So when students walked in, they knew something different is happening today. One of the challenges for me was bringing tree thinking to this event and trying to do it in a way that wasn't in a classroom where I had one-on-one interaction with people. So one of the things that we did was to put together a tree that represented the 149 ingredients that were used in the dining hall. And then I had to take this and bring it to everybody. So one of the things that we did was to put together a poster that said, what is the tree of life, right? We talked about the tree of life being like a family tree, and then tailored it to the event by asking the question, how can I see the diversity of food on my plate? This was put as a poster in a few different places in the dining hall. It was put in a trifold that was handed out to every participant who walked through the door, and we turned it into a cling wrap that went around the centerpieces on every table. So I basically tried to make everywhere you look there be a tree. And then the other important thing to help students and for other participants see what was going on is I tailored this tree to every meal. So for every meal poster, I took the tree and I highlighted the branches that represented the ingredients in that meal. So as you move from dinner to dessert to an appetizer, you can see the different branches of the tree of life lit up, and that what you're eating can change, diversity-wise. This was a great opportunity to get out messages about evolution and try to combat plant blindness. So we had meals that focused on ingredients that are the result of things like plant pollination. We also worked with dining services to put together whole displays like Brassica oleracea, right? All of the different kinds of, but we were able to say that and talk about the process of artificial domestication and making all of these foods that are the same species. They don't know this. As well as introducing species of plants they've probably never seen before, like jackfruit and breadfruit. So our physical displays next to the posters and the field guides really did a nice job bringing all of these messages through. I can't emphasize enough the role of students. And so students, we had 6 students working with us on the scientific planning community from day one, crafting the messages, writing the essays that went on the website, but also these field guides that were by the posters. They ran the salt tasting table, so who knew all of this? Archaea was in your salt, but they also did a lot of promotional pieces, coming up with all of these stickers and buttons that I still see around campus today. So to the assessment, to show you what we learned, coming back to the first one that I mentioned about biodiversity and food, I had thought about biodiversity and food, now I do. The yellow is basically the pre, the orange is post, and we definitely found a significant change. Some of the other questions we looked at were relatedness in food. Again, a significant change. I wasn't thinking about it, now I am. And then finally, human impact on biodiversity. There was a shift of thinking more about biodiversity, but interestingly, people came to the event really thinking about human impact on food. And so we thought, this is great. We were able to take that and build on it. So finally, I will put these numbers up really quickly because I'm running out of time, but we had worked with our communication department to get, this message out. We had over 3,000 people to participate that day, but we were on the news, we had all sorts of articles, and at the end of the day, potentially reached over 600,000 people, and if you look at web clicks, potentially over 13 million. So big impact to get this out. I guess I'll just end by saying, look, there's, as Nairi said, there's little in life that is more fundamental than our survival than food. And that worked really well in getting out messages about macroevolution. And if you're thinking about putting your own outreach events together, I think this is an incredibly scalable event. We have the website you can go to, but think about prioritizing places that reach a broad audience, define your goals, engage students, collaborate, and assess. So thank you to everybody we worked with. Everybody underlined was a student, and thank you for coming today.